The village lay still, blanketed in the quiet beauty of the first snowfall. Each roof glistened under a layer of white, icicles clinging to edges like delicate ornaments. The soft crunch of boots pressing into fresh snow marked the beginning of the day, paired with the faint call of crows circling above the treetops. A gentle breath of wind stirred the frost-laden branches, sending a shimmering cascade of flakes to the ground. Every sound was muted, the world wrapped in winter's soft embrace. Steps paused by a woodpile nestled beneath a sheltering overhang. Gloved hands brushed the snow off the stacked logs, selecting pieces dry enough to catch a spark. The wood, rough and earthy, exhaled faintly of pine and age. The stack grew, each log carefully placed in a woven basket. A small bundle of dried twigs and leaves was added, the kindling needed to coax the flames alive. The path wound through the village, where frozen streams whispered quietly beneath their icy shells. Stone chimneys puffed out streams of smoke, the rich scent of wood fires mingling with the crisp air. Faint footprints trailed through the snow here and there, crisscrossing in patterns that spoke of morning chores and daily life. A low wooden fence leaned under the weight of snow, its one sturdy post softened by frost. Eyes wandered to the edge of the village, where the woods began. Snow coated the trees like frosting on an old cake, uneven and beautiful. A pause near a familiar shrub yielded a small cluster of wild herbs, their leaves resilient beneath the cold. The green was vibrant against the white, their scent promising warmth and flavor. Carefully, the herbs were gathered and tucked into a pouch, protected from the chill. The journey ended at a clearing surrounded by tall, snow-dusted pines. The wind softened here, the trees standing like sentinels against its bite. The fire pit, well used and familiar, sat waiting in the center. The basket of wood was set down, each piece arranged with care. Twigs formed a small pyramid, topped with the dry leaves that would catch the first spark. Hands worked methodically, striking flint against steel. The sharp click echoed faintly, followed by the satisfying hiss of a tiny flame. The fire caught slowly, the twigs snapping and crackling as the warmth began to spread. Larger logs were added, their bark curling and blackening as the fire grew. Smoke rose in thin streams, twisting and vanishing into the sky. The clearing transformed into a haven of warmth amidst the cold. A wooden board was placed on a flat rock, a simple yet functional workspace. Nearby, a clay pot and a cast-iron skillet waited their turn. The pouch of herbs was unwrapped, the leaves bright and fragrant. Every movement was deliberate, the quiet efficiency of someone at home in the wilderness. The snow continued to fall lightly, its sound almost imperceptible. Each flake landed softly, disappearing into the blanket already covering the ground. The fire popped occasionally, sending sparks dancing upward like tiny stars. The moment was still and timeless, the kind of scene that lingered in memory long after it had passed. Time slowed in the clearing, the first steps of the day complete. Snow crunched underfoot as the last log was placed by the fire, ready to feed the flames when needed. Everything was prepared, the stage set for what was to come. The clearing, once quiet and empty, now radiated warmth and purpose, an oasis of life in the midst of winter's stillness. A basket of ingredients rested beside the fire, their colors vivid against the muted backdrop of snow. Eggs, their shells pale and smooth, nestled beside a bundle of vibrant herbs, crisp vegetables, and a small jar of golden oil. Each item was chosen with care, the simplicity of the ingredients promising a dish that celebrated the season. A wooden board was placed on the snow-dusted ground, and hands began their work. A sharp knife gleamed in the light, its edge precise as it sliced through an onion. Each cut was deliberate, the layers separating in clean, even pieces. The scent of the onion rose, sharp and sweet, mingling with the cold air. Next came the herbs, their leaves plucked and gathered into a fragrant pile. The rhythmic sound of chopping filled the space, each motion efficient and purposeful. A clay bowl was brought forward, its surface rustic and worn from use. Eggs were cracked one by one, their yolks gleaming like drops of sunlight in the bowl's hollow. The whisk moved briskly, the mixture frothing into a creamy blend. A pinch of salt was added, then another, followed by a dash of ground black pepper. The scent of the herbs joined the mix, their aroma released as they were folded into the eggs. The cast-iron skillet was warmed over the fire, its surface glistening as a drizzle of oil spread thinly across it. The oil shimmered and hissed softly, a promise of the transformation to come. Hands moved to the vegetables, slicing them into uniform pieces. Carrots, bright and firm, were diced into small cubes, followed by crisp bell peppers and a handful of earthy mushrooms. The vegetables were brought to the skillet, their sizzle harmonizing with the crackle of the fire. A wooden spoon stirred the mixture, each ingredient mingling with the others as their colors deepened in the heat. The carrots softened, their sweetness released, while the mushrooms grew golden and fragrant. A hint of spice was added, a careful sprinkle of turmeric, lending its warm yellow hue. The skillet's contents glowed, the vibrant colors a reflection of the care taken in their preparation. When the vegetables were ready, the egg mixture was poured in, flowing over the skillet's surface like liquid gold. The fire's heat rose steadily, firming the edges as the eggs cooked. Steam curled upward, carrying the dish's rich aroma into the crisp winter air. The wooden spoon was set aside, the skillet left undisturbed as the cuckoo began to take shape. A simple lid was placed over the skillet, trapping the heat and ensuring the dish cooked evenly. The quiet bubbling of the eggs joined the symphony of natural sounds, a gentle counterpoint to the occasional crackle of the fire. Time seemed to stretch, each moment filled with the anticipation of what was to come. When the lid was lifted, the cuckoo was revealed in all its glory. The edges were golden and crisp, the center firm but tender, flecked with herbs and colorful vegetables. The scent was irresistible, a harmonious blend of earthiness, spice, and freshness. The skillet was carefully tilted, ensuring nothing stuck, and the dish slid smoothly onto a waiting plate. The work was done, the cuckoo a testament to the simplicity and beauty of cooking in harmony with nature. Every element, from the ingredients to the fire itself, had played its part in creating a meal that felt both nourishing and celebratory. The scene settled into quiet satisfaction, the dish resting amidst the stillness of the snowy clearing. The skillet, now empty of fire's embrace, rested beside the plated cuckoo. The warmth of the dish seemed to radiate outward, steam rising gently into the cold air. Hands carefully garnished the golden surface with a sprinkle of freshly chopped herbs, the green contrasting beautifully against the rich, vibrant yellow. Each detail reflected intention, a quiet respect for the simplicity of the meal. A wooden knife slid smoothly through the cuckoo, dividing it into even portions. The edges offered a soft crispness, while the center revealed a tender, airy texture flecked with vibrant vegetables and spices. The first slice was lifted, the aroma intensifying as the warmth reached the crisp winter air. Every piece told a story of patience, care, and the connection between nature and nourishment. The first bite was deliberate, savoring the textures and flavors. The subtle spice of turmeric blended perfectly with the sweetness of the vegetables and the herbaceous freshness of the garnish. The crispy edge added a satisfying crunch, balanced by the tender, creamy center. Each bite was a reminder of the journey, from the gathering of firewood to the quiet moments spent preparing the dish. The clearing seemed to echo the act of gratitude in the simple meal. The snow continued its gentle descent, the flakes melting as they met the residual warmth of the fire. The distant calls of birds filled the air, mingling with the occasional snap of branches weighed down by frost. Every element of the moment felt intertwined, as though the world itself paused to appreciate the effort that had led to this point. The meal continued in silence, the sounds of eating blending softly with the natural rhythm of the surroundings. The cuckoo was shared, piece by piece, until only faint traces of steam and the lingering scent of the dish remained. Each moment felt unhurried, a reminder that even the simplest acts of sustenance could carry profound meaning when done with care. When the meal was finished, attention turned to the clearing. Every utensil, every tool, and every trace of the fire was carefully gathered and restored to its place. The fire's embers were scattered, their glow fading into the snow until nothing remained but the faint warmth of the ground where they had burned. The skillet, wiped clean and stored, held no hint of its earlier work, ready for the next meal. Snow crunched softly underfoot as the clearing was left exactly as it had been found. The silence of the space seemed to stretch outward undisturbed, as if the day's events had been nothing more than a fleeting whisper in the timeless rhythm of the forest. The only evidence of the meal was the lingering satisfaction that followed, a quiet contentment that would remain long after the clearing itself faded into the distance. As the figure moved away, the sun began its descent, casting the village and its snowy surroundings in hues of gold and amber. Shadows stretched long across the ground, the light reflecting off the icy surfaces with a soft, radiant glow. The scent of the cuckoo, faint but unmistakable, seemed to linger in the air, mingling with the rich aroma of wood smoke drifting from the village. The journey back was slow and deliberate, every step a moment to absorb the beauty of the snow-laden world. The wind, softened by the fading light, carried a quiet stillness, as though the world itself had settled into peace. Footprints disappeared behind the traveler, swallowed by the ever-falling snow, leaving no trace of the path that had been taken. The village came into view, its soft lights glowing warmly against the deepening dusk. The chimneys puffed steady streams of smoke into the sky, and the faintest murmur of life could be heard in the distance, a reminder of the balance between solitude and community. The snow fell heavier now, muffling the sounds of the world as night began to settle. As the day came to a close, the memory of the cuckoo lingered, not just as a meal, but as an experience rooted in the simplicity of the moment. It was a reminder of how even the quietest days could hold beauty, of how the smallest acts could connect one to the world around them. The snow continued to fall, blanketing the land in silence, and the clearing returned to stillness, waiting patiently for the next story it would hold.